Let's take a look at solving a quadratic equation by completing the square. This is a very simple example here because there is no coefficient in front of z squared, it is just 1. And also because they conveniently for you move the constant to the right side. Generally speaking, if you have an equation that has a variable, in this case z squared, plus 4z. So if you have anything else other than the square term and then the z term, if you have any number over here, you would have to move it to the other side. So every number, if this had plus 3, you would subtract 3 from both sides. So on the left, you only want a square term and the term with the single variable. That's it. Okay, then now once that happens, you're gonna look at the number in front of z and make sure that you include the sign. So because if it's negative, it has to be part of your calculation. In my case, it's plus 4. Okay, so well, I don't have to write the plus, but I just want to emphasize that if this was a minus, I would have to put the minus here. The next thing you do is you divide it by 2. So divide by 2. If it was, for example, negative 4, I would get negative 2. Here I get positive 2. And then you square the result. So 2 multiplied by 2, that will give me 4. Okay? And this number, the number I get, whatever I get from doing this, taking the number in front of z, dividing by 2, then squaring, that number you must add to both sides. Okay, it's also important to add it to both sides, not just the left-hand side. Otherwise, you're not going to have a balanced equation. You're going to add something to the scale on one side, but not on the other. Okay, so it has to be 1 because it was born in here. And then we add 4 also. So we add in 4 on the left and add in 4 on the right. What are we achieving? Well, we are achieving a perfect square trinomial on the left-hand side. What does that mean? Well, it means it's going to be something squared, the perfect squared. What is this something? Well, it's just going to be z plus, and then why is it plus? Well, that's because this was positive, okay? So if this was like minus 4z, this would have been minus, okay? But because this is plus, this is going to be plus. Now, what do we put in here? Well, we put whatever number was in that intermediate step, so that is 2. Okay, and then on the other side, we got 1 plus 4, which is 5. Now, how do I know this is correct? Like, this is really correct. All I did was just rewrite z squared plus 4z plus 4 as a perfect square. Well, what the square means is that you are multiplying z plus 2 by itself. And if you were to FOIL this, so that's first, right, z times z, that's z squared. Then outer, so that's 2z, that's inner, another 2z, and then last, which is plus 4. And then these two terms, because they're similar or like terms, can be combined into 4z. So I know that what I did is correct. All I did is just rewrite it in an equivalent form. Now, the next thing you need to do is solve this equation, but by taking square root of both sides. Because to undo a square, you take the square root. And you will get, when you take the square root, so just imagine that I'm taking square root of this side, and I'm also taking square root of the other side. Remember, you cannot just take square root on one side. Again, this is not going to be balanced. You always do it to both sides. What will happen? Well, the square is going to disappear because square root will undo the square. And on the left-hand side, you're going to get z plus 2. On the other side, you're still going to get square root of 5 because there was no square. So it's not, nothing is canceling. So that's just going to be square root of 5. Now, that would be correct, but that would only give you one solution. There is actually another solution. And why is that? Well, it turns out that when you square a square root of 5, that's going to give you 5. But also when you square a negative square root of 5, that's also going to give you 5. So there are two solutions here. There's actually a plus square root of 5 and minus square root of 5. You got two of them. Okay, so let me write out the first one. So if it's z plus 2 equals square root of 5, I want to solve this for z. To solve it for z, I will subtract 2 from both sides. I cannot combine it the square root with the square root. They're not like each other. You cannot do that. So you're just going to put negative 2 plus square root of 5. Or you can put square root of 5 minus 2. That's also Correct. That's your first solution. The second solution will be z plus 2 equals negative square root of 5. Now again, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, which gives me z equals negative 2 minus square root of 5, or negative square root of 5 minus 2. Those are my two solutions. So in here, I will rewrite my perfect squared. That's what I will show. And then here I will actually type the two solutions separated by a comma. And let's check that out. All right.